Big round of applause. Woo! Big round of applause. Fuck it, give him a standing ovation for the man we got in the room right now. Hey. Come on, let's give him a standing ovation.
100%.
He's a trailblazer for many reasons, Heather B.
Facts.
I'm going to put him in the lineage of Jack Johnson.
Talk about it, though.
Oh, Jack Johnson.
Come
the great
on.
Jack Johnson.
The great Jack Johnson revolutionized boxing.
Bare knuckles, baby.
As we know it today, and stood as a black man through adversity, criticism, scrutiny, racism, discrimination. And Jack Johnson, we still speak his name today. Big round of applause.
Let's go.
Let's talk about Edwin Moses.
Wow.
Edwin Moses, 400-meter hurdler, who was the only hurdler who had a certain amount of strides in between each hurdle, and for years, for decades, they could not break Edwin Moses' record. He changed the way people do hurdles. Let's 100%. Talk about Stephen Curry.
Come on.
He wasn't the first to shoot a three-point shot.
However,
he led a whole generation to shooting three-point shots. As we see it today, he changed the game.
Facts, though.
In football, when we look at Patrick Mahomes and all the different athletes who have come since him, their style of play, which is unique and unconventional, unmatched. You can't guess what he do. There's no defense that could really shut him down. He showed a new way of what a quarterback can look like and how a quarterback can think and play. He revolutionized the position, in my opinion, and he's from our generation. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him here today. Comeback player of the year, 4-time Pro Bowler, played for multiple teams. Ladies and gentlemen, he's hip-hop's quarterback. Give it up for the one and only Michael Vick.
Hey, when I heard 4-time Pro Bowler, it make me upset because it should have been 5.
Come on, man. Talk to us, man. What happened?
Yeah, being young.
Okay.
Being young, I flicked the crowd off. I was actually flicking off a New Orleans Saints fan. People get it misconstrued thinking it was I was flicking off a Falcons fan. But, it was a day and time when it wasn't no social media, and I tried to get away with something and think people was watching, but that told me that people always watching.
Always.
So I was having a good year that year. It was like 2006, and I just had a moment, and so that would have been 5 Pro Bowls, and they say 5 Pro Bowls is like automatic Hall of Fame, so I think I missed that bowl.
Nah, man, Michael Vick is here, man. Big round of applause. Nah, Hall of Fame, bro. We gotta.
Damn.
Nah, man.
I was young, bro.
You were young, but still I don't know what the criteria is for Hall of Fame, but the impact you made on the game alone should warrant you a Hall of Fame entry. Yeah. What do you think the likelihood is? Seriously, I know we joke a little bit, but
I don't know. I always leave it up to the people to decide on how they view my career. Could have been better. Could have done things different. What more could have happened? I know when I think about the things that I was able to accomplish, I'm very proud of them. I know it was a lot of meat left on the bone. I know it was more that I could do. When I talk to the guys in this generation, I try to help them be more prepared than I was. Because I know if I would have just did a little bit more, it might have led to a more accomplishments. But I was fortunate enough to have a guy like Andy Reid at the end of my career to help me become the consummate pro that I always wanted to be. And so, I always had great leadership as far as coaches in my life. And so you got to have that, man. That's why they call coaches, man, because they leaders in their own right, and they help us as young men grow into men.
I love that Michael Vick is here. But I love the fact that you talk to quarterbacks.
Right.
But before we get into that, you did not come alone. We are here to talk about the evolution of the black quarterback. It'll be available Tuesday the 24th, right? And this project is so necessary. It's from Prime Video Sports and SMAC Entertainment. And your wife also is a part of this, right?
Yep. Victory Productions, Victory Film.
Okay. And Fred Anthony Smith.
What's going on, everybody?
And who's here with us today.
The man behind the plan.
Fred Anthony Smith. Get that man a round of applause.
Thank you, everybody.
Come on. He married somebody from the Bay. Give him a round.
Oh, God.
Damn it.
How you doing? How you doing this morning?
I'm excellent. The evolution of the black quarterback. What are we going to learn?
We're going to take you through the entire evolution.
Right.
And, I've known Michael for a few years, and this has always been something that's been important to him, to tell this story and to share this story. He talks about, all the guys, and you've seen it, and when you watch the film, all the guys that come up to him and show him love and talk about how much he changed the game for them. But there were guys that changed the game for him too. So we want to go on the full journey.
Yeah.
And hopefully people learn a little bit, but more than anything, we want to celebrate. We want to celebrate where we've come, where we have so many black quarterbacks in the league today, and celebrate this game of football, because there's a lot of football in it, because you're watching the greatest players of all time, Michael and Donovan and Warren and Mahomes. You're watching all these guys play. So we're telling that story.
And quarterback is such a intriguing position, demanding position that it entails a lot. It requires a lot, and I know how much goes into being a professional quarterback. And so when people come to me and how this whole thing originated, the origin of it is always being out. Me and my wife, we having dinner, we out somewhere, and people running up, oh man, you changed the game. You revolutionized the position, and to a certain degree. But I'd be like, have you ever heard of this? Warren Moon, or you ever heard of Donovan McNabb? Or have you ever watched, Charlie Ward? And the answer was always no. They never seen these amazing quarterbacks who paved the way for me, who trailblazed the game for me, and I watched and idolized. And I'm like, hold up, man, we got to get these young men some history. I'm saying young men and women, because, there's a lot of women that love football, and I get the same questions from men and women. So I'm like, I reached out to Anthony, who I work with, on various networks and at different times in my career. I was like, bro, what you think about this? And my wife, who's producer, she's into production. She like, yo, y'all should come together. And they got together and they started putting ideas together. And I was just fortunate enough to be the talent in this and do these amazing interviews. And yes, it was therapeutic for me, because I wanted to talk to these guys and find out about their football journey, quarterbacking journey, because it runs parallel to what they all went through, and some journeys was easier than others, some more surprising than others, and you'll see that in the doc that it just entails a lot, man. It's a lot of informative information, and it's gonna make you respect the quarterback position and respect the National Football League and the growth, and how this is a celebration and not in any form or way of being divisive.
I'm glad you said that, because I was on my divisive shit, Mike. I was about to go a whole nother direction until you said that, brother. I just, because when people talk about quarterbacks in the NFL and they talk about the legends, they mention Joe Montana, they mention Joe Namath, they mention,
for the right reasons though.
Okay,
you know what I mean? They was great.
Yeah,
they was great in their own right. True pocket passes, but. Now it's a league of dual threat quarterbacks, like where you got to be able to move,
got to do everything
in order to sustain. But in 2005, I was on the front cover of Sports Illustrated, and the title was "I Am a Quarterback," because I was fighting for that dual threat title back then. They were saying like, "Yo, you gotta sit in the pocket. You run the West Coast system. You got to be like Joe, or you got to be like Steve." I'm like, not really. That's not me. You know what I'm saying? And so I look back now in hindsight, fighting that fight and continue to push forward and being myself, which Dan Reeves, the late great Dan Reeves, rest in peace, told me, I drafted you to be you, to play the way you played in college. And I don't never want you to change that. I stuck to that. And now when you look around the league, that's what we see. And that's what me and Anthony wanted to highlight. And that's why I wanted to pay homage to those who came.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that half the league are black quarterbacks now.
Yeah,
when you think about it. Warren says something in the doc where he's like, when I came into the league, I was the only one, because Doug had moved to the USFL, and the other Randall Cunningham hadn't arrived yet. So that's not ancient history.
Crazy.
That is in my lifetime.
Wow. We want this generation to know the history.
Yeah, it wasn't
it wasn't
preordained that you were going to be able to be a starting quarterback.
How much was that politics though? What percentage of that was because of, most of it, right? Because of
because you have guys, you can't tell me that Warren Moon couldn't have been a starting
He's a first
quarterback.
round pick in today's time.
Absolutely. So it's that, but it's also, and And Michael gives much love to Donovan McNabb, who came 2 years before him. You know, and who often
he's been on this show.
Yeah, he's a
often
citizen.
gets kind of forgotten in the
about.
story. But once Michael was drafted #1 overall, like that's the point of no return. Like Donovan 2 years before, and then Michael, getting drafted 2 years later. Like after that, floodgates open.
Yeah.
So we're able to have as many black quarterbacks as we have today. Where we sat down with Dak Prescott. Michael interviews Dak, and Dak talks about coming into the league and being the quarterback of America's team. Now think about that.
Yeah.
Quarterback of America's team is black.
That's crazy.
And highest paid player in NFL history. Now.
$200 million plus. Come on, man.
And look, I mean, it all comes around full circle, but for Jerry Jones to make Dak Prescott the franchise player, highest paid player, I've always looked at it like the league was a big part of the growth too. The administration, coaches, owners, general managers saying, regardless of what it may look like or what he may look like or what people might say or the stereotype, I'm gonna give him a shot. I'm gonna see if he can do it. And so I feel like we got to pay homage to the NFL for being a part of the growth and the revolution. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully what they've been able to do is an example for a lot of different entities in this world to continue to push forward and not be political and not stereotype and give people fair opportunity.
Yeah, that's
fair opportunity.
I like what you standing on, and that's a big challenge to them.
And look, and I'll add this because we talked about this earlier. The show's titled "The Evolution of the Black Quarterback."
Yeah,
but it's also the evolution of football.
Yes,
and it's also the evolution of people's attitudes and mindsets in terms of how they're going to look at black quarterbacks. Because 20 years ago, would the highest paid player be a black quarterback?
No.
Maybe not. 40 years ago, definitely not. But now it's not even a question.
40 years ago, they would have said a black person don't have the mental facilities to be a quarterback.
My God.
Remember that? So that's a part of the evolution.
That's kind of what it's some stories.
There's some stories in there?
Run parallel to that. Yeah, in this. And it was what it was from Shaq, Harris to maybe Warren, you know what I'm saying? Like, that was a thing. It was a real thing. And so some guys like, maybe Charlie Ward didn't get an opportunity because, it might have been the stereotype or they might have been looking at him a certain way. And Doug barely made the cut. And these guys had to really fight for their opportunity to get on the field. And they was very resilient. Some of these stories, like a lot of hate mail and a lot of this and we just don't have to deal with anymore that I think is just.
Did you have to deal with that?
To change.
The racism and all that?
Unfortunately, no. I just was told early that I was going to have to change my position. My whole take in this is I grew up, playing running back, and then I got moved to quarterback. But then I'm aspiring to be a football player in the National Football League, and that's my dream. But I'm like, damn, these black quarterbacks don't really get drafted. So I'm just playing the position just cause, and then somebody tell me they gonna change you anyway when you go to college, and I'm like, well, I'm investing all this time into playing quarterback, and it was tough, man, to watch college football on Saturdays, and you see a guy like Charlie Ward who's making all these plays, and then he don't get drafted, and then it just kills your confidence, and it's like, yo, man, I'm gonna have to play a different position, but I don't want to hit the reset button and have to learn. I'm going to derail my chances of making it. And then the 1999 draft happened where, the second pick, Andy Reid takes Donovan, and then Achilles Smith go to Cincinnati, and Culpepper go to Minnesota. I'm like, hold on. It's a little paradigm shift here.
Something happening.
I might have a shot. Like, I don't know who's behind all these decisions, but they the right decision. Or I'm going to keep playing quarterback regardless. Now, I'm going to keep pushing. Donovan is my guy. I want to be Donovan.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So if Donovan did it right, and if I can follow that path, I might have a chance to get drafted. And
2001.
And then 2 years later, man, I make history.
You the first.
The league make history.
The first.
I make history and the league make history.
Yes.
Drafted first in the NFL in the year 2001.
Yep.
Wow, man.
Really cool, man.
Yeah, man.
Cool moments.
That was a great moment. I have to jump in. I'm sorry, Heather. I'll hold this. Go ahead.
I thought you was gonna go back to your old football career, Sway. That's what. See, I noticed that Mike is here.
Highlights, man.
Yeah, Mike, I got some, man. We didn't have social media back then.
Thanks again for you guys being here both. I can't help but to think about when you talk about coaching, and you just said something to me that reminded me of what's going on right now with Bryce Young, because you said something can be a confidence killer.
Yeah.
And Bryce Young, recently we saw that he was benched. What would you say to him right now if you had the opportunity to speak with him and talk to him and mentor him and say some things to him? Because he said that being benched right now for him is shocking.
Yeah.
He wasn't expecting that to come from the organization.
Yeah, well, it's shocking in today's time when there's so much social media. It's embarrassing. But what I would tell Bryce, and I'm probably going to talk to him in the next couple of weeks because I think it's warranted, to take this time and to develop. I felt like Bryce was just thrown into the fire with no weapons and to save a franchise, and that's not easy to do when you don't have any weapons around you and the right coaching. Now, I'm not taking a shot at the coaching staff or what's going on, but there's no way you have a guy that's in the first round that you can't generate any offense. You can't generate no off. You gotta, as a coach, you gotta put guys in a position to succeed. And that's not happening for Bryce. So the best thing now is to take a step back. That coach, he probably won't be there next year. I wouldn't expect him to be there. You couldn't coach Bryce Young. How you gonna coach Andy Dalton? And so, it's just as important to have the talent, but you got to be coached the right way. I wouldn't have been who I was if I didn't have Dan Reeves, or if I didn't have Andy Reid.
Yeah.
What would Patrick Mahomes look like if he didn't have Andy? He'd still be a great player, but would he have 3 Super Bowl rings?
Right.
So I think coaching is very important. But for Bryce to take this time, well, it was super overwhelming, and we all felt bad for him.
Yeah.
Just looking in his eyes, it's like, yo, he need a break.
tell.
And so sometimes, you gotta take a break, and now he get to look at the game from afar. He get to learn. You know what I'm saying? He get to do what I thought he should have did from the beginning, and that was come in as a backup and then play weeks later. So it's not over for him. He could be playing again in 6 weeks.
Yeah.
You just better be prepared.
When it happens,
You
right?
better be prepared. Go lift weights. Go get in your mental state where next time I step on that field, I got to prove everybody wrong. And more importantly, I got to prove to myself that I can play in this league and not let my confidence be shattered.
Yeah, we need Michael Vick to go
Word,
around to all of
yes.
these players, man. Talking
Talking
tour, man. When you talk about
coach
this,
him
it makes you're a coach, right?
Coach him up a little bit.
Yeah, Shadur Sanders. When you talk about the coaching dynamic, has his father as a coach, and we've seen what he's been able to do. I'm curious to where you think he'll go in the draft one day.
We was just talking.
We was just talking
about Shadur, and maybe Anthony can speak to
Because
working with Shadur and
yeah, because with Shadur, so Smack, we also produced Coach Prime, the Coach Prime documentary.
Okay. Give us
Show
an insight.
So I was just
get money over there.
I was just in Colorado last week with Coach and Shadur and Travis and Shiloh and all of them. But man, we love Shadur, man.
Yeah.
Shadur, first round draft pick.
First round?
Yeah, Shador's going, and it's funny, over the last month I've had 2 conversations with Shadur that was about an hour and 30 minutes. And Shador's just really, really smart. He understands the game of football and the position. So he's kind of ahead of the curve in terms of how he's picking up the game, and he wants more. But in college, you can't do. His mindset right now is a mindset built for playing on the next level, where you got coaches, 5 or 6 coaches that's going to pour into his thoughts. Right now, he's with a coach that I had in Pat Shermer, who understands the game, understands the quarterback position, and coached me really, really well in Philadelphia. I got nothing but respect for how he coaches and how he teaches. And I just told Shadur, you just stay the course. And the last couple of weeks has been good for him, but we have conversations on how to get through this season, continue to play at a high level, continue to be a leader, and continue to support your teammates and be the best player you can be on the field. So that's going to translate into him being the first round pick next
In the-
year,
in the
and
NFL.
him doing some great things.
Sir.
Does Deion go to the NFL with his son?
Look,
No.
I
No.
can't. I don't
trying
think
to get
so.
people
I don't-
checks
I don't-
taken.
I don't think so.
Protect
You gotta let Shadur go. You gotta let Shadur
I
go.
don't think so.
You don't think so?
Coach Prime loves what he's doing. He loves the kids. And that's one of the coolest things about being on that journey with him is like we've been filming with him for 3 years.
Wow.
Coach Prime also on Prime Video.
Come on.
But we've been filming. We were with him in Jackson State, with him last year and with him again this year. And you just see when the cameras are off, like how much he loves those college kids and those young kids. So yeah, I don't think so.
Don't be surprised if he end up at Florida State.
Ah.
I'm just throwing that.
That's some insider. That's some
throwing that
Michael
out
Vick
there.
just gave us the insight. Come on.
Down the road.
People go to jail on Wall Street for that kind of information, Michael Vick. And we're talking about the project. It's called The Evolution of the Black Quarterback. It'll be available Tuesday 24th on
Prime Video.
There you go. All right, Tracy G.
Yeah, I can't help it, Mike. Like hearing you speak about coaching specifically, in my opinion, I feel like it also sounds like life coaching.
Yeah.
And I feel like these are lessons that are applicable in and off the field. And it makes me wonder if there's been any lessons that were first given to you to affect your game on field, but actually were useful in your real life. And also, you've had so many public victories as an athlete, but I also would love to know what your personal private triumphs are that don't really make headlines.
Yeah, well, that's a great question, and when you was, asking that question, only person I could think about was Andy Reid, and the journey outside of the game is just as important. Your structure and foundation away from sports is just as important as when you into sports.
Yeah.
And so many conversations that Andy and I used to have, and that's the first coach I used to talk to. And when I went to prison, I was like, look, when I come back, I'm gonna be really tight with my coaches and real personable, and I'm gonna open up a little more. And Andy used to just call me into his office just to talk, and we was talking about family and friends and endorsements and opportunities, and when to scale it back and when to press forward, and all these things that made me a better player, made me focus more on the field. I mean, of course, there's a lot of responsibility and things are coming at you fast, but I learned all money is not good money.
Okay, right.
You got to be patient.
Mm-hmm.
You got to let things happen naturally and pray about what you want. And I learned, those morals through Andy. So many things that, I couldn't get from a father figure in my life or from another coach, that he was just there for me in a moment in time in my life where I needed growth and I needed to grow up. And look, I won't even say I took all his advice and used it correctly, and I should have. And I tell him, and we know. But for the most part, 85% of the things that he told me or the advice he offered, I took it and I used it the right way, and it helps me to this day. I grew as a man. I can only imagine what Patrick is getting on a day-to-day basis, but that's so important to have that foundation outside of the game, because it just makes you a much better player, and it makes you more confident. And you can go on the field and just focus on football.
Word.
Yeah.
What would you tell your younger self now that you faced a lot of adversity and you've been through a lot, and what would you tell your younger self now?
To just listen. Listen. My collegiate coach, Ricky Bussell, him, Dan Reeves, Andy used to tell me, they'll all pull you to the side and say, one of your greatest qualities is this or it's that, and if you can do it. A lot of my coaches in the beginning told me my best quality was being a good listener. But it's because I had a destination, and I was trying to get to the league, and I'm like, so I'm listening to everything they say when it comes to football. In regards to life, here and there, I'm taking, I'm still young, so I'm living my life. But when it came to football and learning the game and understanding the game, everything that they said, I soaked it all in.
Soaked it in.
And then when I got to the league, now you making money, you still got to listen. I'm listening to the football side of things, but I'm not listening to Dan Reeves giving me advice on, Gave me my first set of golf clubs. Probably should have used them. Opposed to doing others. I learned to play golf later. And it was like if I would have picked up those clubs and surrounded myself with different people and been in a different, different situations, outcomes might have been different.
Yeah.
I didn't listen. You know what I'm saying? I didn't start listening until it was too late. And so while I'm getting all this great advice and becoming a great football player, I had an obligation, or I should have been trying to become a better man, a better person as a young man. And so I had to learn. I had to learn the hard way. But, throughout that learning curve and that experience, I grew as a man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Look at you now, man.
Yeah,
Look at, man.
Absolutely. And one thing I'll just add to what you just said, which I think has been, one of the most beautiful things about being on this journey with Mike these last couple of years. You talk about mentorship and life coaching and this, that, and the other, but seeing him around the younger players, gravitate toward him, black, white, indifferent. I remember we went to Buffalo. And Josh Allen was talking about, I grew up, with your poster and your shoes, but seeing the way that the Buffalo Bills, the team, just rallied around, and they were like, man, can we take pictures? But it was like that everywhere we went. And this wasn't even on camera, but after we finished, this had been, I guess, a couple months after Damar Hamlin had his issue, and he just took Mike to the side, and they were just talking, no cameras, nothing, and they were just talking. You can tell that, he was just looking to soak it in from Mike, and like everywhere we went, you would see those sorts of things. So you were spot on with that.
It's been a fun journey.
Well, I know we only got a few minutes. We cool? All right.
There we go.
Mike, hold up, man. Y'all been talking all day. My family got that watermelon juice is my family right there.
I wasn't wanting to grab one of these
grab
for a
that
minute,
thing, man. Black Seed Brothers,
It don't taste like anything you've ever had before.
The watermelon is in the corner. They cut it. This fresh watermelon, man.
And what I learned today from them was yellow watermelon is the original watermelon.
Oh, my son, my 6-year-old son, he I don't know where he get this
Only
sophistication from,
up,
but he always asking about yellow watermelon. I'm like, bro, I only seen it one time.
You gotta get one of these.
It's yellow watermelon is the original. Y'all have to try. It's absolutely incredible.
Awesome.
Yeah, turn that label around. So they can see the label. Thank you.
Yeah.
Black Seed Brothers. All right.
Black Seed Brothers.
Some of this.
Good, man.
Yeah.
Get some of that. Good. I'm going to get free juice for life now. Okay, I want to, real quick, the year you came in, 2001, Atlanta, right?
Yep.
Gucci was coming out. T.I. was coming out. Like you were parallel to hip hop evolution.
Yeah.
Like who and T.I. and you became cool, right?
Yeah, still cool to this day. I was very fortunate to come into Atlanta in a time where like hip hop was on the rise and from Outkast to Ludacris.
Wow.
I mean, they from T.I. to Jeezy.
That's
it was
the year
it
he
was
was
just
drafted.
it was just a moment.
Yeah.
Energy.
Yeah, and
The
I'm
energy.
like, it's funny because the Georgia Dome was like it was like a club. It was like a concert with a football game going on. And it was hard to just, not be, ingratiated in what was happening, what I'm saying, outside of what was going on the field. But it was just, it was beautiful, beautiful scenery. Like I said, hip hop, took a huge step forward, especially in the South. And those guys, they just gravitated to what was happening in the moment.
They embraced you, though.
They embraced me. Everywhere I went, it was all love. I was always trying to keep my mystique, very private person, and didn't hang out a lot. But, T.I. used to invite me to his, he'll invite me to a listening party for a new album, and got to be in there at 4 o'clock in the morning, listening, having a good time, and then had to get up and go to practice. So, that life was different.
Yeah.
I had to tell those guys, look, man, I got to get up at 6:30, and I got to be in the building at this time. But y'all just getting y'all day going. Y'all just getting going. But so fortunate to live through those times, man. All those guys right now so successful in their own right and still doing big things to this day.
Same with you, Michael.
It's
Vick.
two different sports, but from the time when we were all excited you were coming here, I was saying even to my brother and my husband, your impact on the game at the time you came in was much like Allen Iverson. It was very Allen Iverson-ish.
Yeah.
It changed the game. It was the hip-hop quarterback. Allen was Ivy was who he was in terms of basketball for us and music. So thank
true.
you.
Yeah,
thank
no
you
doubt.
for your
Growing up and watching Allen, he grew up 5 minutes away. Like I wanted to do.
wow.
I wanted to be
That's
him.
right.
Like his impact on me, helped me change the culture of the NFL. And
Wow.
so, just watching him, like, Allen was the first guy I seen with a Rolls Royce. I'm like, damn, I need one of
Really?
those.
Allen
Just
Iverson.
came through with the Bentley. I'm like, man, I need one of those. He grew cornrows, man. I need those. Like, he was big bro and still is. And to this day, he'll probably call me in a minute. And we was trying to get him on the project. Anthony wanted, I call him Chuck. Anthony wanted Allen on the project, and maybe we'll be able to sit down with him in the future. But Allen was a great player too, man. He was a big influence on a lot of people more than he know.
Yeah. Michael Vick is here. Fred Anthony Smith. They are here. We're talking about the Prime Video Sports SMAC Entertainment project titled "The Evolution of the Black Quarterback" is available Tuesday the 24th. As you sip on the way out, real quick, I don't want you to take too long to think about this. Michael Vick, your top 5 quarterbacks of all time.
Of all time. Okay, I like that.
Okay.
Of all time. So, in no particular order, Steve Young.
Bay Area. I'm sorry.
Always set tripping,
all
my bad.
Time.
Who's in the doc?
Look, and it's no offense to anybody who's listening. You'll know why this list is as great as it is. Tom Brady.
Tom Brady.
Patrick Mahomes.
Come on, Pat. I see you.
Donovan McNabb for what he did for the game.
Okay.
And then myself.
There you go. Give it up for Michael Vick. Give it up for Fred Anthony Smith. We want to thank y'all, man.
Thank y'all so much.
Hey, come back anytime.
Incredible conversation.
Anytime, brother. Anytime,
Blessings.
Man, we're going to keep it moving. Make sure y'all support this project. Michael just said they'll come back.
Yes,
All right,
please.
cool. So I'm looking forward to that.